Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about stress and how to deal with it. So let's get into it. The question in question was, I suppose this is more of a general question, but how do you deal with stress? I found myself in a situation where stress is actively preventing me from working at my usual pace and meet deadlines. Well, yes, this is a pretty general question, I suppose, but nonetheless, it is I would say it's a relevant question to the programming profession, as with others. And with all of these sorts of general questions, I'm just going to give you a disclaimer first and foremost. I am not a life coach, neither am I an expert on stress or a psychiatrist or anything like that. So I'm just going to give you the way that I look at this and the way that I handle stress at the personal level and just compare that to how I see a lot of people who have a great deal of stress usually suffer and what some of their main problems is. I would say that it's fairly accurate of me to say that I am very low stress. Like it requires an enormous amount of pressure for me to feel anything whatsoever. I'm usually fairly calm. And it's funny because I have friends who are suffering from stress who have confided in me that they want to, well, I'm not gonna say more than try to learn my secret. Basically, they want to they want to understand why I can be calm, and I tell them that the simple truth is that first and foremost you have to accept that everything has an inherent level or an inherent amount of stress. If, let's say for the sake of argument, that you are new at something, doesn't matter what it is, you will feel you're experiencing something for the very first time. And the thing about that is that that's always an unknown to you, and the unknown is usually something that is a little bit scary to people. Now, some people are okay with just taking life as it comes and just kind of dealing with it, and some people really have this inherent need to know what's coming, know with certainty as much as possible what's going to be up there in the future. And the thing is, if you're a junior developer, you need to accept that stress is going to be there in the beginning. It was there for me as well. I promise you, I was also very stressed in the beginning, and it can vary how much you feel it, how much depending on how much pressure you actually feel at your place of work. Now, the thing about that though is that it gets better with time. That's the sort of stress that is actually very forgiving because being fresh at something or being inexperienced is usually something that gets traded in for, well, you you trade youth for experience, so you're old and knowledgeable, or you're young and stressed, usually. So that's the one part of it. And then what I usually find is that there's two types of individuals who deal with stress. You have the people who are really good at it, and you have the people who are really, really bad at it. And the common denominator, at least from my perspective, when I talk to people who feel a lot of stress, is that they always have two things in general terms. Number one, they are always really, really, really self conscious about what people think about them. How are they doing? Are they happy? Are they happy enough? Are they working hard enough? Do they make enough money? Have they progressed far enough in their career? Are they married? Are they not, like all of these different types of factors where they take a great deal of personal pressure from the fact that they want to be the thing that is good enough in everybody's eyes. And they spend so much time trying to play by all the rules that they can think of, and they feel so bad if someone tells them or gives them criticism for not being enough of something. Everybody has something. uh, I think that the most striking thing I've ever seen, almost at a culture level, is in some parts of Asia and some parts, well, of course, in other regions as well, where there is such a culture heritage around how you should act and how you should be. There's a rule for everything. There's a right way of doing absolutely everything. And that is an enormous stress factor. Because the thing is, people, at least from my perspective, people are people. It does. You can create and we have, let's be honest here, we have many books. We have many books that tell every single human being on this planet, depending on who you are, and there are at least a few books for each type of person you might find yourself being, that they tell you what you should think, what you should do, and so forth. But the problem is, guys, that you are you. Nobody else has ever been you, and they're never going to be you again. And that means that everything that you are experiencing is very individual to you, which makes it really, really hard to try to play by every single rule. And that's the thing with most of these people that I talk to. They are very, very scared of not being good enough, or being or measuring up in the eyes of some external party. It can be a parent, a spouse, a friend, the government, whatever. It doesn't really matter. That's the one thing that I always see that they have. And the second thing is that they are always super, super scared and unsure, and really want to control as much as humanly possible what's going to happen in the future. They are very intimidated by the fact that they don't actually know how things are going to turn out. The thing that I see with people who are very relaxed almost all the time is that they don't really care about playing by all the rules. They usually are very comfortable in their own skin, and I think that the reason why they are comfortable, I can only speak for myself, the reason why I feel very comfortable almost all the time, and I can goof around a little bit, I can say something that is inappropriate and so forth, is because I know that it's going to turn out all right. I know that I'm going to make it to the next day. I know that if I make a mistake, I can apologize for it and I can move on. And I understand that the thing is, not that many people really care about you guys. Now that sounds harsh, but they don't really care about you. I promise you that you think that people care more than most of them actually do. And then when you get to a point emotionally, this is the part about solving stress where I can't really help you, because in order to become the sort of person who is truly comfortable in their own skin, you have to make a journey for yourself and let go of so much anxiety and change your perspective on your place in the world. And you have to reevaluate your connections to all of these different peoples around you. And when you do that, it's going to be hard, because you're going to have to decide whether playing by the rules in so that you measure up in the eyes of somebody else is the thing that is more important to you, or if just being content with who you are is the thing that you want to focus on. And I can't cover that entire, and that journey is, I mean, there are so many people that are more qualified than me that can help you with that. I'll gladly tell you about my own personal journey through that at some point, because I kind of just I just figured it out myself. I have no teachings that I can refer to. I just figured it out. The second part with people that I would like to think that makes a very big difference whether or not they're relaxed or not, is that they feel comfortable with not knowing exactly what's going to happen next. They feel confident in that whatever's going to happen is going to turn out all right. It doesn't really matter all that much what's going to happen, good or bad. They feel capable of dealing with it, because in their mind, at the very least, it's not like things can't be all that bad. I mean, there's always something bad that's going to come your way. You have to accept that life has ups and downs, right? But you don't stress over it, because you know you're going to be all right. An example would be, most people, I think, would feel very comfortable if they knew that they had $1 million in their bank account. I think that just flat, you would immediately be more or less stressed just because you knew you had that sort of money. And if you don't have that sort of money, well, the next best thing would be to have $500,000, or I don't know. Like if you just have a sense of security, if you're living in a secure environment, you have your health, you have money in the bank and all this stuff, so you know that you're gonna be alright, even if something bad happens. That usually helps a lot with the stress as well. So what I want you to take away from this is that I am not a life coach, and I can really only tell you what I see usually is the thing that helps with stress. People who are generally stressed, at least from what I can see, are usually very anxious about their place in the world. They're very stressed out about the fact that there's a right way of doing things, and it's very important to them how other people perceive them. And they are also usually very afraid of what's going to happen next, and how are things going to turn out. That anxiety is the thing that usually stresses a lot of people out. And as you can imagine, this does affect your work, and it's especially true when you're a programmer and you feel that you need to always be in delivery mode, and you always need to be smarter, you need to be faster. This is something that this is a factor in our life, and if you want to solve that, you need to go on a personal journey. And that personal journey needs to include you growing to the point where you realize that you're going to be okay. Some of the stress is going to be from you being inexperienced, and that's going to go away as you accumulate more experience. And each of us have a threshold. Like, we are all different, so we have our own abilities to how much stress we can deal with is going to be a little bit individual, but we can always get to a point where we position ourselves in our life in such a way that we know that whatever comes our way, we can deal with it. You can live within your means. You can save money. You can go to the gym and take care of yourself. You can take active steps to better yourself in order to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend and things like that. You can make these decisions. It's all down to, are you willing to make those investments? And then finally, remember that nobody is better at being you than you are. No matter what the rule books are telling you, what feels right to you should be the thing that you do. The only thing that really matters is if you can live with the consequences. Have a great day.